We started with 45, then we went to 86, then we went to 101. Once you hit 100 and you raise 2, 3, 4 million bucks, it's not really that much different. It's somewhat similar. And it was at a time when capital was super easy. Like you could raise money, lickety split. And if you had a few deals turning, which everyone did at the time because the cycle was peaking, it made it easy for your investors to have a huge capital gains bill and be desperate for another deal. You know, the cycle and the way the timing went, it made it easier for us to buy bigger and bigger deals. And luckily we were using, fixed debt.
Welcome back to The Real Grind, guys, the place where we talk real estate and have the best sip of coffee. Italo, today we have a huge responsibility ahead of us for today's episode, man.
What's happening?
Well, I heard that one of our guests never had a sip of coffee in his entire life, which is hard to believe, but I believe that today is the day that we're gonna change lives, and he's gonna be walking out of here the real grind. Because he's already know a lot about real estate. Okay,
but he's either gonna love us or hate us, because he's either gonna hate the coffee or love the coffee. Now he's gonna just spend money on good coffee.
Which it happens. It happens. It happens. People nowadays, they come out of the real grind and be like, my God, man, I treat coffee totally different now. I'm spending money on this crap, but I'm loving it. So let's get the show started. Let's go.
Waking up to success. Now we're getting it started. This is the real grind. Everything you've been wanting, building an empire, no question. Talking about real estate, investing, making the millions, no stopping. While we sip on gourmet coffee. The real grind. This is the real grind. Let's go.
2 days in the Real Grind show. We have one of them that went 2 times X Game and gold medalist. And one of them, it's being 11 years former high net worth insurance agent and top producers for the Fortune 500 company. They together built a $300 million real estate portfolio. Welcome to the stage, Dan Brisse and Mike Roeder. Let's go! My man, let's go. All right. Thanks, guys, for being here, first of all. I appreciate you. Here in the show, we're going to talk a little bit about y'all's beginnings and a little bit of experience there. First, I want to say that I have a board that I got on an auction from you, man. And one of these days, I've been trying to miss it. I've been missing it, but I want an autograph from this guy.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's do that.
Guys, let's start with you, Mike. Talk a little bit about your backgrounds, man, where you grew up, where you're from, before we get to the good real estate stuff.
Yeah, you bet. Well, first off, Neander, thanks for having us on the show. I appreciate it. Super excited to be here. So I'm from central Minnesota, born and raised there. Actually grew up fairly early on with Dan. We were good buddies in high school, trying to make a professional snowboard career. And I ended up getting into the real estate industry in the single family space. So I house hacked my first house when I was 20 years old, bought it with my girlfriend. She's now been my wife for 15 years. We rented out 3 out of the 4 bedrooms and kind of fell in love with the cash flow at that point. So we started accumulating single family rental properties. And soon after, I started to burn out because I was doing the maintenance, I was doing the leasing, I was doing the evictions, doing all the marketing, driving 2 hours from my corporate job to go and fix up these houses. And I knew real estate was the path that I wanted to take to create passive income and to become financially free, but it just wasn't working. And so that's when Dan stepped in. He had been buying some apartment complexes. They were working really well for him. He had third-party management in place. They were cash flowing. He wasn't, handling all the day-to-day operations. And so he talked me into buying a 20 unit with him. So we joint ventured, bought a 20 unit together, bought an 8 unit together. And then we formed our company about 7 years ago and started syndicating multifamily projects that were a little bit bigger.
Super cool, man. And it's great that you guys from old school, high school buddies and be able to do business together. And every time I see you guys in seminars and stuff, we know each other for a while, probably 5-6 years now. And you guys are always got this cool drive and friendship. I love that. What about you, man?
Yeah. Thank you as well for having us on.
Let's go.
Yeah, my background, I grew up in central Minnesota and I fell in love with snowboarding. I was probably 12, 13 years old. And my cousin had a board brought to him from his friend in California, and I was just hooked. So from basically 12 to early 20s, I spent all my time just snowboarding. as much as I possibly could and working odd jobs at night. And then early 20s, I'm out in Salt Lake City pursuing a snowboarding career. And my good buddy says, hey, you should go to Aspen, Colorado to compete in the Aspen Open. And I'm working paycheck to paycheck, living paycheck to paycheck. And I'd love to go, but I don't got the money. He's like, I'll pay for you. So we drove to Aspen. He put me into the contest. It was an open. So open means anybody in the country can just show up, pay a couple $100. You get to take a couple laps. See how you do. Yeah. And so
it's like a big tryout kind of thing.
Yeah, it is. It's like you can go out, you think you got some talent, you show up with the other up and coming kids, and you just see how you rank. And I ended up getting through semifinals and ended up winning the contest. And so from that point on, my career pretty much launched within a 3 to 6 month period. And I started traveling all over the world, and it was honestly a dream come true. Ended up riding for brands that I loved and admired as a kid in Minnesota, and just was filming and doing contests and shooting photos. And yeah, so that's my background. And then, after I'm in my snowboarding career, I'm realizing that I'm making good money and I'm getting taxed to hell.
A lot.
Yeah. And I'm wondering, what the hell do I do here? I just spent the last decade of my life working at TGI Fridays and Red Lobster and, grinding. And then all of a sudden I get this big influx of cash coming in, and I got to give 50% of it away. So I started reading every book I could get my hands on in just regards to depreciation and finding a way to actually reduce my tax bill. So that's what brought me to real estate. And I was looking for cash flow too. Some of my good friends that I got to know in the snowboarding industry, their careers wound down, and it was scary. Like, people losing their homes, drug addictions. One guy got paid out $2 million, spent the next 6 months with his buddies traveling around the world, getting drunk, and came back with a bunch of tattoos on his face, and said money ruined him. Yeah. And I was like, dude, that's not going to happen to me.
That's awesome, man, that you get to see. But how did both of you guys get the desire of doing this real estate, right? Was it from books, from education, from parents, or literally just, was it, what was the turn point here for you?
Yeah, Mike? For myself, it wasn't necessarily, from my parents or books. It was really, I fell into it. We wanted to make that first house work. And so we decided that we were going to rent out 3 of the bedrooms and
to cut some of the cost of the house.
Yeah, exactly. And instantly, we stepped into that home, and we essentially weren't paying for the mortgage. We weren't paying for the utilities. We were living for free. And it's like, gosh, this is really nice. How can we continue to do this with additional properties? So that's how I fell into it. And, multifamily, like I said, if it wasn't for Dan, I would have probably stayed on that single family path. I remember looking back, when I was working my corporate career, my initial goal was to accumulate 100 single family rental properties.
Oh, wow.
And I only got to a handful of properties over the span of about 6 or 7 years. And so it would have taken me a long time to scale, but stepping into the multifamily industry, really allowed us to scale a lot quicker.
It's definitely. What about, there's some point that you brought it up, like a lot of people in sports, athletes, even musicians, I came from a musician background. It's like they gain a lot of money at some point and they don't know what to do with it. So from the horror stories that you see from your friends spending, but also from some type of influence from your family or something?
Yeah, it was really just the pain of paying the tax and the fear of what the hell am I going to do when my snowboarding career winds down, where I have this much passion and freedom. So yeah, once I learned about depreciation, I hired a great CPA, tax-free wealth, Tom Wheelwright.
Yeah.
Came across Provision, and they got me on a 5-year plan and basically said, if you do this, this, and this for the next 5 years, when your career winds down, your passive income should be ramping up, and we can reduce your tax bill. And the rest is history.
And you're straight to multifamily.
Yeah. Well, I bought a 9-plex right out of the gate, and then I bought a duplex, and then I bought a 24-unit deal. And at that time, I didn't really know what I was doing. I thought I did. Yeah. I probably read 7 to 10 books and went to 4 or 5 seminars. Yeah. But it should have, luckily the timing of the cycle was good. It was 2012, so you couldn't really screw it up.
Right.
So it ended up being just fine. But looking back, education from a professional first would have been wise.
Sure. This is a big mindset shift, right? Back then, and when you said accumulating houses and stuff, I see people that does this over time, but now where you guys are at today, which we're definitely going to cover later on today, how many units, how many properties, like big things, man. Would you tell yourself then, would you believe it? Isn't it crazy? Like be like, man, you got all these properties now and all these doors and all these things.
Yeah,
Isn't it crazy?
Probably wouldn't believe it, back then. I think I had a pretty dang good mindset, but not that big of a mindset where I thought I could, go that far. But, I think there's always room to grow. There's always a significant room to grow. So we're looking forward to what the future holds for us.
Well, sure. And what was the first property that you guys bought it together? How many units?
Yeah, our first property we bought together was 20 units. And then we added 8 to it. It was just myself and Mike and one other buddy from high school. The 3 of us just threw our money in.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
cool.
our first syndication was a 45-unit deal.
And now let's just, what is the biggest property of once that you have bought together? The biggest unit counts?
So we bought 410 units.
410
was the
units.
property.
Wow, that's amazing, dude.
Yeah,
What was that
thanks.
recently?
It was about, 2.5, 3 years
2.5
ago?
years.
3 years ago?
Yeah. Yep.
Fucking hate, dude.
Yeah.
And so when was the time that you guys got into the scalability of the multifamily, from
Yeah.
that? What was the turning point there?
Yeah, I mean, for us, we started with 45, then we went to 86, then we went to 101, and then I don't remember really the next one from there. But I thought once you hit 100 and you raise $2, $3, $4 million bucks, now if you did 200 or 250 and raise 8 million, it's not really that much different. It's somewhat similar. And it was at a time when capital was super easy. Like you could raise money lickety split. And if you had a few deals turning, which everyone did at the time because the cycle was peaking, it made it easy for your investors to have a huge capital gains bill and be desperate for another deal.
Right.
So I think just, the cycle and the way the timing went, it made it easier for us to buy bigger and bigger deals. And luckily we were using, fixed debt.
Very good. And I'd love to see what you guys are up to today, because I know there's amazing stories that I actually remember, like from 5 years ago, and where you guys are today. It's just very inspirational for us, for my team as well. But we want to try some coffee, man. This is the time that we're going to bring Italo here and have some coffee time. Let's go.
This bad boy right here.
All right, Italo, you
Mike,
ready
what's
for this
up?
challenge?
Thank
I'm
you for
actually
coming
good.
to the show.
Thanks for having us on.
Dan, appreciate you.
Thank you.
I'm actually nervous, bro.
I know. I had to throw a little lifeline in there for Dan. He's like, dude, can I just have some coffee? And I was like, no, you're going to have it on stage. And it was like, make him espresso. So
I'm feeling
a little
awake.
pick it up.
Yeah, I'm feeling awake.
Nice.
Yeah.
This
Why-
is you guys flew in this morning, right? Today, yeah. So you guys probably
Yeah.
need the coffee.
Yeah. I left last night at 12:30, so I landed at 6:30.
Jeez.
Yeah.
So I'm intrigued as well. So what's the reason why you haven't drank coffee to this day? Like, is there a specific story behind
Don't like
it?
the smell.
No reason whatsoever. I actually love the smell. My parents drank coffee all the time growing up. Enjoyed the smell. I've never drank a cup of coffee. Drink a lot of tea, but no coffee. So today literally will be the first day that I taste
Damn.
Let
coffee.
me ask you a question. You like wine?
I like wine. Yeah, red
Yeah.
wine's good.
Yeah. So, I don't know if you experienced that, but for me, like when you go to high school and then you go to college or whatever, you try cheaper wines, and then you get to a point that you drink badass wines, and then you can't drink that stuff anymore, right? It's the same thing with coffee, believe it or not. Coffee has distinctive taste and sweetness that it's like a tea. So I'm not gonna say much more, but let's you try it first.
Yeah, let's give this a shot. So we're all gonna.
I'm sure that you pick a very good coffee for this.
This one is
right?
new to us too. So, but this
Oh,
one is
okay,
good. But this
yeah.
one is good. This one is good. So let's all try it together. So pass this one to Mike,
All right, sounds good.
So,
and
I can't tell you how many times we've gone to coffee together. And I'm like, you should just have a coffee today. And every time, no, I'm good.
No.
So,
Look-
if you drink this
far,
right now,
but I mean,
look
this
at the
is a
top of
special
this
occasion,
coffee. Like
right?
this is something that's gonna show you a little. If you look at it against the light, it looks almost like it's dirty.
Yep.
That's
Mhm.
the oils
Oh,
of
yeah.
the coffee. So
Wow.
that's where the flavor and all that stuff's gonna be packed up in there. So the way we're gonna try this is almost like wine tasting. Give it a good smell. Now you're gonna slurp on it.
Just
And
like
let
your
it
mother
sit on
told
your mouth.
not to. Slurp big.
Oh, that one's good.
Let it sit in your mouth.
It's pretty light.
It's really good. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Wow.
You might have just turned me into a fan.
Where's the light? But yeah,
I'm
so
fucking sweaty.
I
dude.
should have
Look at
messed
this.
with you, is what I should have done.
right. No, but it's crazy because that's what coffee is supposed to taste like. Anything, if you try growing up, like Folgers, Starbucks make money on sugar and milk because their coffee is shit. Let's just be completely honest with you. So coffee like this is more expensive. So they just want to push coffee on you with all the other stuff. So you're paying for milk and ice if you really look at it.
This
So-
is. No, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just gonna say like this, the shot espresso you got earlier, you're never gonna get that at Starbucks.
Yeah, I've never tasted that before in my life. That's gnarly.
Yeah.
Stuff's-
So this coffee here, for a beginner, I'll probably get a different coffee. There's more fruit forward.
Mhm.
This one is good. It has a very good robust to it, but I could totally see like we try one more before you leave. That is more frugal and it's good.
If you
Then
like,
it's like cracking up. It's like
no, because like what's awesome is that you like tea.
I love
A lot of people like in Brazil, our grandmas will look at this coffee because of the color of it. They're like, "Why are you drinking? Why are you giving me this tea for?" You know, like
as it's getting cold, it's getting better.
yeah. And that's another thing. Like in Brazil, people ask like, "Do you know who drink the most amount of coffee in the world?" The sink, because you make a big pot, and by the time it gets cold, the taste is awful. So you just dump it out. This type of coffee, the colder it gets, the better it tastes
Really? Wow.
because of the quality.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So
And we drink also light roast because we're just like a steak, right? A dark roast is like well cooked to overcooked. You know what I mean? So a light roast to be able to see all the flavors. A coffee tree, the fruit itself is actually sweeter than a grape. You know, so when you do this whole process of coffee, you're supposed to identify the tones and the flavor, just like any other fruit.
yeah. Question for you. Because you did all the sports and all that stuff, whenever you guys had to do like long runs for shootings and all that stuff, what kept you guys awake? Energy drinks or coffee?
Both. Yeah.
Back them up?
Yeah, it was both. And adrenaline. Adrenaline. too.
Right, because that will keep
Oh,
you
You're
awake.
terrified you're gonna die, potentially.
Mike, you're not going to die out of this coffee, man. You can keep
All right.
drinking it.
I'm thankful
Dude,
for that.
I want to keep hearing y'all's story. I'm so happy that you enjoyed it, man. I'm so happy.
did.
I don't know. I'm curious. Tomorrow, please send us a text. Let us know how late were you like awake tonight, because I think this thing is gonna hit him hard, like gnarly. 5 in the morning.
Not that bad.
Dan is trying to sleep, and Mike's like, "Dude, let's talk a little bit, man. Come on." But I want I want to keep hearing y'all's story. Thank you so much for trying. Before you guys leave, so y'all can enjoy something back home. So this one is Mike's. Mike, this one is for you.
Thank you,
So
sir.
now you have something to drink your coffee on at
It's
home.
a
Dan,
coffee
this
mug, not a tea
Whoa.
mug, Mike. Okay, you can only
Thank
pour
you.
coffee into
You bet,
that.
you
Dude,
bet.
that's
So
right.
now you can drink some coffee, enjoy some coffee in a big mug at home, and we just appreciate y'all coming here and having some coffee with us, man.
Thanks
you.
for making
All
a
right.
cup
Thank
of
you.
coffee. That was
Hey,
delicious.
my pleasure. I want to keep hearing y'all's story. Let's go.
Let's go, man. Welcome to Empire Living Solutions. This is a brand new business that we come out of a solution for a problem that we had. We're being struggling with buying material and goods for our apartment renovations. After 5 properties, over 750 units, we have a lot of turns. So by buying directly and forming our own brand to buy directly overseas and going to manufacturers and testing products, and after all these years, we mastered and crafted these products, and now it's available to you, syndicator, operator, property management, or even if you do flips or developing new construction, anything, we have solutions for you to save on cost of material and have a one-stop shop so you can run your properties to the max performance. It's great, man. Guys, talk to me about Granite Towers. How did that start? Did you guys started that venture, the name right from the beginning, or that came out later after you guys started syndicating more? How did it start?
Yeah, it was pretty quick off the bat. I think it was probably 12 months, into our business of trying to syndicate a project. And, we jumped into it, what was it, July of 2017, where we made the decision, hey, we bought some apartment complexes. We're going to start syndicating projects. So we're going to raise capital from other people that want to get into multifamily and buy a bigger deal. And it took us almost 12 months for us to land our first deal. So it was not easy. We were grinding every single day, trying to find deals. We started up in Minnesota and there just wasn't enough deal flow. Eventually we came down to DFW and we were advised to kind of shift into a couple other markets so we could take a look at more properties. But granite towers, granite is very prevalent up in Minnesota. A lot of granite is mined up there or taken from the ground. And, it's just a
didn't know that. That's
solid,
cool.
sturdy rock.
Yeah.
Cold Spring, where Dan is from, or Richmond, ton of granite shops out there. And so I think that was partially where the name came from. And it's just, just a solid, sturdy foundation is what we're looking for when we're building a company. And, it just resonated with us. Dan,
Absolutely.
anything to add?
Well said. That's more than I remember. Yeah.
But I remember. And $300 million in asset now. How many units total count?
Yeah, we're right under 3,000 units. under
1,000
management.
units.
Yeah.
Majority here in Texas, or
Yeah,
all in
majority
Texas?
of Dallas, Fort Worth, and then we have a few assets in Nashville. And then we also have one up in Minnesota still, and then one in New Mexico and one in Alabama. But our focus is DFW and Nashville.
Very good. Yeah. Economies of scale, right? You start sharing so much data for one city. Are you guys still looking outside, or you guys want to focus more in Texas?
Yeah, our focus is right here in Texas. Dallas is the main focus, and then kind of a backup would be Nashville.
Mhm.
And yeah, we're just looking to eventually vertically integrate. We found that if we focus in on a smaller location, we can buy better deals. We have more leverage with the brokers. We feel much more confident in executing our business plan every time, a rinse and repeat model.
Yeah.
It's amazing. We were fortunate in the sense that we've owned all over the country, Minnesota, New Mexico, and Alabama, and Nashville and Dallas. And what we've seen through this, COVID period and interest rate run up is every location and asset class is going to perform differently. And there's some very clear patterns and trends we've spotted in our company in the front row seat of deals that have outperformed what we projected, deals that have just done what we've projected, and then deals that have struggled. And it's been eye-opening for us to take that data and refine our buying criteria so that, as we move forward, we have more confidence in base hits.
Where's granite tire criteria today? Because I know, for example, for us, economies of scale, the same amount of work that we do in a larger asset to a smaller asset, right? More budget, more leverage. So what is the granite tiles criteria today we're looking for?
So
As far as deal
pieces of
size.
criteria, and there's a lot that goes into the criteria that
Sure.
we set forth. But a couple things that stand out to me: properties that have really low delinquency.
Yeah.
Delinquency is becoming a problem across the nation. So you really have to hone in on the asset that you're purchasing and make sure that you feel comfortable with what you're looking to achieve for pro forma rents. Can your tenants afford that? Do you have enough people moving into that area? So that's super important to us. And then also the submarkets that we're buying in. We love to buy in markets where there's a lot of pent up demand. So we can come in there and we can, put in some funds into the interior units and the exterior of the building, bump rents to where the competitors are and know that the occupancy is still going to stay really high because people need to live in that submarket for the jobs and there's pent up demand. So those are two pieces. Dan, anything?
Yeah, I would say also, we haven't bought a ton of A-class. We do have an A-class deal, but just piggybacking on what Mike's saying, B and C class in an insulated market, we have a much better chance of hitting our projections than we've found, in maybe an A-class deal where you've got a lot of new product coming online. You've got a lot of options for people. If you can find a deal where there's no place to go and they all want to be there because that's home, your chances of hitting your pro forma numbers go up drastically.
Yeah, 100%. Especially I the B and C class apartments, you just giving the tenants a better product, right? With coming in and doing some value add. And I know that, I keep following you guys around with social media stuff. And it looks like you guys, as soon as you close the properties, you do a lot of renovations. Is that the business model of the business plan? What does the business plan look like? It's just come in and...
Yeah, so we usually have anywhere from $10,000 to $20,000 per door in rehab on most of our B and C class properties. The first 30 to 60 days, we're hitting the ground running and we're trying to take care of all the exterior projects, HVAC, roofing, foundation, landscape, getting the pools up and running, renovating the office. And then For the interior units, it's really as units turn.
Yeah.
And a lot of our properties, they have such high pent up demand that the tenants will stay. So we'll have, a 75 to 80% retention ratio, but we'll give those tenants the option to do a partial upgrade, as their lease renews. So that way they're still getting some value for the increased rent that they're getting. So that's worked really great for us. And, I would just recommend anyone out there that's actively doing multifamily, just put as much work as you can in before you purchase and before you close on the asset, because it's going to make it that much easier after you close. If you have all of your bids lined up, if you have your contractor selected, if if you've done thorough due diligence, all of that helps, a ton.
Yeah, especially, the due diligence give a lot of bids. Some of them expire, right? It's like, I give you X amount of days to do it. So, and what do you guys, you guys take on capital raise nowadays? I know that a lot of, on the multifamily, especially being a lot of investors being burned out, a lot of investors being, I myself and Dan and I with our firm invested a few deals in Houston and we lost 100% of capital. But I want to say that when there's a good operator and you're conservative now, there's very good chances. So what you guys take on that right now?
Yeah, gosh, I think you hit it on the head, Neander. Is like, if you were buying in 21 and early 22 at the peak, and you're not now, or you're not in the next 12 months, you're likely going to miss a huge opportunity, because asset prices in 21, early 22 peaked. It's easy to look back. We can all see it now. Hindsight's 2020. And you've had this 25 to 30, 35% pullback in pricing. And the only way we're buying right now, which is great, is with low leverage fixed debt.
Yeah.
And if you can make your deal work now with low leverage fixed debt, you have so much less risk on the table. It's unbelievable. Whereas back in 21, we're all, buying with bridge debt, and you're leveraged to 80%. You're financing all the CapEx, and then obviously interest rates run, and those are the deals that are coming to market, right?
Yeah.
So if you can be in a position to be buying these next 2-3 years, I think you've got a lot of wind at your sails. Like you said, though, get with the right operator, get in strong markets, get a great business plan in place based off of primary data, what's actually happening in the market today, and build your business plan off that. And if you can do that, I think you've got a really good chance of making some good money for investors.
Well, and I think to your point, Neander, you said a lot of people have, maybe lost money, or they've lost a portion of their money in these real estate investments, or they've had capital calls, and you have to look back and find out what's the reason for that. And most likely it's because they had bridge debt,
Yep.
Floating rate, variable rate loans. And that's the reason why, they lost capital, or they had a capital call. So going forward, if you're buying a deal that has a discount of 30%, you're putting fixed rate, product or loans in place, you're buying in a pent up demand area. You have a bunch of capital for CapEx and liquidity for after you close the deal. The likelihood of doing a capital call or getting a capital call or losing your capital is very, very minimal. And like Dan said, it's just a phenomenal time, in my opinion, to jump into the market when you're, towards the bottom.
100%. And my next topic is going to be about the asset management side, operators that are hands-on. And I had actually, property managements that would be like, oh, you guys are too involved. I say, hell yeah, I'm involved. You know what I mean? And what is best practices that you guys doing as asset management? That, because I feel at times also this, that we bought a little bit earlier, holding assets now, being conservative on your operations, man, saving cost is what keeping those deals alive too. You know what I mean? I think that is a big deal. It's like, sometimes it's a deal breaker no matter what you do, but also being conservative for small details, being on top of them. You said once about delinquency, which is a big point, but also just being conservative in operations. So where's you guys take on that?
Yeah, gosh, right now I think the separator are those that can asset manage well and lead property management companies well. And I think it, back in 21, 22, it was easy to do well. And now you're seeing
people fall asleep and wake up.
Yeah. Right. 12 months later, you didn't do anything and you just made a ton of cash because the cycle was powerful. And now you're seeing who actually knows what they're doing, who actually knows how to work with your property management company. I think one thing that has helped Mike and I tremendously that anyone can do is you can go out and hire an A player asset manager. You know, like hire somebody who has been a regional for 15, 20 years, who knows property management, inside and out, and now understands how to add value to an apartment. You know, we're investors. Our job is to spot great opportunities, build the future, and then go execute. You don't need to be the person necessarily that's doing the execution on the front lines. You need to lead that person and get someone that knows exactly what's going on and can speak the language even better than you,
Right.
to really lead the horse to the water.
A couple other, asset management tricks or tips. A couple things that we do, secret shop your properties often. You'd be amazed at how many times, a leasing agent isn't asking the proper questions, or the marketing online isn't up to par. You're, marketing the wrong rents or the wrong unit type or whatnot, or you have the incorrect phone number online. So we do secret shops very often. And if property fails, we do it more often. Train your team in, as far as eviction timelines and how they evict and when they evict. You need to make sure that you run consistently, but also that your team knows exactly what they should do and when they should do it. And that's, across all facets of the business.
Yeah, it's interesting, talking about marketing. I did a marketing study on the pocket that we had. And if you go to Facebook ads right now, just go like apartments or whatever niche or whatever zip code it is, you see some horrible posts, like a picture of a living room, but like just a carpet. I'm like, what the hell is this? You know what I'm saying? Some of the listeners there, they just spend a little bit of extra touch to market that. That's number one. And then comes to sell and closing. We installed what you call a knack. If you heard about it, it's a system that capture all the leads. Wherever you post comes with a defined where their leads are coming from, records all the calls and the properties. If a operator will listen to those calls, sometimes you'll throw up. I'm not kidding you, man. And I actually was able to listen to the calls of one of my properties for a leasing agent. They were there. And I was just shocked how much of unprepared, that's all I'll say, of level of customer service.
Wow.
And at the end of the day, it is a community. It's a place that people are looking there to shop, and they're going to shop competitors. They're going to shop on the streets. So my point is that a lot of people are not doing investing on this asset management by looking at just numbers, but also the front end of the portion of marketing, sales, closing, training. Like you said, training, that's a big deal, man. And I see you guys do a lot of that, right? And that's great. Now, let's talk about also deal flow. What you guys seeing coming out 2024? Are you guys looking? What is the outlook for the rest of the year? We're almost on the finishing of the second quarter, man. Isn't it crazy?
Yeah, we're jumping back into acquisitions mode. We took the last 4 months off and just focused primarily on systems and processes. And we built that out over the last, 7 or 8 years, but there's always a significant amount of room to grow, in that arena. But right now, jumping back into acquisitions mode, we look at probably 400 to 450 deals per year that we underwrite. And, some of those we pass on pretty quickly, about 400 to 450 deals per year.
Wow.
Yeah. So quite a few, in the few markets that we look at. And some of them we can pass on pretty quickly. Their delinquencies too high.
Yeah. So you guys have a very
low.
fine criteria. You guys be able to scan that.
Exactly. But looking at properties in between that 150 to 300 unit space, B and C class in Dallas, Fort Worth, and in Nashville. And we've started to see the amount of deals flowing down the pipeline ramp up pretty quickly recently. And some of those properties need to sell because of the bridge debt or the short-term debt that they had in place. Some don't, but it seems like sellers are meeting buyer expectations now a little bit more than 6 or 12 months ago.
Are you guys selling anything this year or no?
Yeah, we have one asset in New Mexico that we'd love to just offload. It's not where we're looking to buy. It's not where we're looking to spend our time. So that's the only deal right now that we're actively going to go to the market and sell on that I have in mind.
Yep. No, I agree. And that was a big learning lesson for us. It's in an oil dependent market. Mm-hmm. We bought it, 5 years ago or so. And, looking back, we would have chose a market that had a ton of diversification for employment. This market was not that. So when COVID hit, we were doing fantastic for a few months, and then COVID hit and literally all the jobs left the market. So not only did our occupancy dip, by 30% or so, we had to bring our rents down by about 50%. So it was a huge learning lesson. It's doing really well now because oil has come roaring back, but just be aware, when you're diving into a new market, make sure that you fully understand it, make sure that you're vetting it, make sure that you're being conservative as you're underwriting as well.
Yeah. And this deal's, like you said, 50% rent decreases. Now we've had some like 80 to 85% rent increases. So as volatile as we've ever seen.
Wow.
For a deal. Yeah.
Wow. And where's this place again?
Carlsbad, New Mexico.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Guys, how can people get to know you guys and your platform? I know you guys have a podcast as well. Talk to me a little bit about that. How the podcast started? Yeah.
Podcast is called Keeping It Real Estate. We have one episode a week. It's all about multifamily and leadership, and it's just was Mike and I were like, what could we do to bring some value to our investors? And so it's a weekly show, and it's great. You got to listen to it.
I listened to it.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I listened to Twitter. Frank who's a big friend of mine. I remember when he went online. Such a beautiful, awesome story. Pretty cool, man.
Yeah,
for sure.
But yeah, guys, this is the part now we're gonna ask you guys some tricky questions.
All right, let's hear it.
Spilling the beans with Mike and Dan. Let's go. All right, Dan. Snowboarding on icy slopes or camping on a rainy weather?
Snowboarding on icy slopes.
What about you?
I'd have to say the same. Camping in raining weather, it's tough. So I would say snowboarding for sure.
Adrenaline or controlled environment? That's an easy one.
That's hard. Depends, but I would say probably a controlled environment now.
By now.
Yeah.
I would say depends too. I mean, if it's business, controlled environment, but sports, adrenaline 100%.
Why'd you have to bring business into this, man? Nobody likes adrenaline in business.
Right.
All right, glass half empty or glass half full?
Glass half full all day.
Half full all day as well.
Yeah.
Let's go. Funny story or one liner?
I'd say funny story for sure.
Same. Yeah. Funny story.
A clown or a magician?
Magician.
Magician.
I fucking hate clowns, man. Money or free time? That's a tough one.
I'd go money, because you can have free time with money. Without money, you only have a limited amount of free time.
Before that answer, I was going to say free time, but I think Dan might have just changed my mind.
All right, Dallas or Minnesota?
Depends, if it's real estate, Dallas. If it's family time in summer, Minnesota.
All right, well, I thought by now you guys were going to move here to Texas, but that completes the Spilling the Beans with Mike and Dan. Let's go. But guys, thank you so much for coming to the show. I'm a big fan of you guys. I know what you guys are doing. We have common friends who are being part of the same education and stuff. And I just look up to you guys, man. So it's very cool stuff.
Likewise. Grateful to be on your show and love what you're doing, dude. It's building an empire.
Let's go. Let's go.
Right.
But first, I want to, you guys, Dan, you can start with you. Look at camera 3, man. And just give your younger self some advice, bro. What would you have to say?
I would say understand where you are in cycles in anything with real estate investing or crypto. I mean, anything you invest in, get clear on where the cycle is about and trust that you have a good understanding about where you are and make your decisions based off that.
For myself, I would say piggyback off of someone else's success. I think back to the first couple of properties that Dan and I bought together, and a lot of mistakes were made. And if we would have tried to team up with someone that had, 500 or 1,000 or thousands of units, we could have alleviated a lot of those mistakes. So I would say, go out there and find a mentor or find someone that's done it. And, if you need to work for free, do it, and try to piggyback off their success.
Very good. Guys, I wish you all the best, and you're hoping we can partner up together. We love partnering and loading for each other. And then you guys, thank you so much for coming to the show.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Neander.
Thank you.
And as always, thank you so much for watching the Real Grind Show. Again, we're on YouTube, Facebook, your favorite podcast platform. And as you know, this episode is sponsored by Empire Living Solutions. Go check out empirelivingsolutions.com to see great products at a great price. So if you want to upgrade your next project, this is it right here. So again, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, make that thing flip, man. Help us out. We truly appreciate it. As always, thank you so much for sticking around. This is The Real Grind. Let's go.
Waking up to success. Now we're getting it started. This is the real grind. Everything you've been wanting, building an empire, no question. Talking about real estate, investing, making the millions, no stopping. While we sip on gourmet coffee.